Okay, we're back on the Videocraft Stand at SMPTE 17, and I'm here with Michael from Miller Camera Support, a great Australian company, innovative designs in the obviously the camera support area.
Yep.
So we're talking about the Arrow X3 and the Arrow range in general. So what's new here at the show with the Arrow?
Thanks, Phil. Nice to be here. Arrowx was launched approximately 1 year ago at NAB 2016, and since then it has seen approximately 50% increase in sales and volume for us, which is a testament to how successful this change has been. The big changes are that you now have 16 positions of counterbalance, which allows you to go from lower setups, lower payloads, all the way up to the traditional 24, 25 kilo mark. And the reason for that is because people now want to use the same head for B cameras and anything else that fits between their main camera and maybe other support cameras. Traditionally, the market has been segmented far more rigidly, where people were purchasing for a very narrow range for a particular camera. These days it's very difficult to choose or to pick exactly which cameras are going to end up on the head. So it makes sense to make that range much wider. The big thing about Arrowx has been the inclusion of the CB Plus feature. Now what the CB Plus feature does, it allows the operator to find that perfect counterbalance position much faster. So you've got 8 course settings which are selectable via the rear knob facing the operator, and then to trim it, you've got the CB Plus spring, which allows you to basically get that perfect balance. That's been a very well received feature for us, and certainly people are commenting quite positively about it. There's been a few other little features. We've got extra adjustment now backwards and forth on the camera plate, as well as storage of camera screws on the side and being able to mount it on a flat surface as well. So they're the sort of the major talking points about Arrowx and how successful it's been for us. From a visual and ergonomic perspective, we've given it a little bit more form now, so it's got a larger frame to fit cameras like RED and other larger format cameras. And it just gives the operator, I think, a little bit more confidence to put it onto the head. So we're very proud of it. We've got an Australian International Design Award for it as well, as well as some other awards from NAB and IBC.
Okay. And so you mentioned different types of cameras, RED camera. What sort of applications are you finding that the Arrow range is ending up in?
Yeah, traditionally, Arrow has been identified in the broadcasting, so news gathering, that sort of type of use. We're now finding that it's sort of finding its way more into maybe small commercial documentaries, that sort of space. And again, having such a wide payload range, it allows people to put that big camera on there without having to invest in a second tripod, perhaps. So it's kind of shifted a little bit more towards more feature films, maybe at the starting point, whereas previously it was far more defined in that news gathering sphere.
Yeah. And in terms of different environments, I guess it's winter now, such as it is in Australia, but summer as well. So how does all that stack up?
Look, it's a lot of the elements that make up Arrow and a lot of other Miller products are still inside Miller fluid heads. We've got users going to Antarctica, sub 30, sub 40 degrees. We've got users going into very hot places and volcanoes and etc., etc. We don't see that large variation in performance of the head, i.e. how much drag you're going to get. Is it still going to be smooth? And the answer usually is yes. So all of those elements that people have come to know and trust in a Miller product are still there. We don't have that sort of a lot of reliance on that technology.
Okay. And you also have the Skyline range, and so what differentiates the two models?
Skyline has been another big step for Miller camera support. I guess traditionally we have been in that news gathering stage, and now we're venturing into outside broadcasting with a much larger payloads, larger box lenses, and that's what Skyline 90 is. Skyline 90 will allow you to film broadcasts on a studio, on a stadium broadcasting. And it's been a very, very successful introduction. I mean, it's still early days where Skyline 90 is, but there's still a little bit of work ahead to try to develop and mature that market for us. But it's very exciting. It does involve other forms of support. So you're talking about larger tripods, you're talking about all of different things that are very excited to talk from a design perspective, certainly.
And you say it's early days. What sort of customers are looking at it at the moment?
The Skyline 90 is basically a collaboration between Miller Camera Support and Ronford Baker. So the head itself is a Ronford Baker head that has been specifically suited for Miller's requirements. So it's got larger payload as well as the different platform that allows us to use it for OB broadcasting. We've developed the actual sliding platform to allow easier adjustment backwards and forwards that you need for larger payloads. So it is a collaboration of kind of two worlds in a way. Ronford Baker is very successful in the movie sphere, and maybe less successful in the broadcasting stage. So that's where that sort of collaboration between the two companies has been very, very successful. So we're developing that further, and there are very interesting things that we're going to look into, and they all sort of center around broadcasting sphere, advertising, electronic sort of encoding and that sort of stuff.
Okay. So you're winning design awards.
I beg your pardon?
You're winning Australian Design Awards, and so
yep.
What are the sort of things that are marking the Miller tripods out from the pack in terms of design?
For us, from a design perspective, it has been to move the product into an area where we are subject to peer review, and from a design perspective, it's very, very exciting to be part of that. You can design a product and look at it, and maybe to a designer it always looks very good. It's kind of like a child to a mother in a way. But when you get your product reviewed by your peers and win an award from it, it becomes very, very interesting. It's a great thing for the company to go through, as well as designers and engineers that are involved in putting that product together. We spend a lot of time thinking about the form, the ergonomics of the product. So, it's good to get that feedback, and clearly users are valuing that as well. So it's a little bit of a gift that keeps on giving in a way.
Okay. And so Miller manufacturing continues in Australia?
Yeah, we continue to be, we have a factory in Artarmon, which is the traditional hub of all things broadcast, I suppose. So we still have a factory there. Approximately 90% of all parts that go into a Miller product are still machined and assembled on premises. And we're really finding that that's been an investment now for well over 20 years. And we're finding that to maintain that level of accuracy, that level of performance and reliability, we need to do that. We're chasing 20 microns, and occasionally you'll come home and you think, what have you done today? Well, we've been fighting over 50 microns. So it is that type of a business. If you want your product to move smoothly, reliably, that's what you got to do. And that's what we wake up in the morning for, and that's how we go to bed at night.
Okay. And obviously you take on board customer requests for features.
Yeah, that's also been, I guess, a shift from Miller's thinking, more moving from a manufacturing-based company, more into a customer feedback type, perception. So we do want to hear from our customers. We conduct reviews, we conduct surveys. We certainly are involved in the industry through the support of young cinematographers, as well as some not so young cinematographers. And it all forms part of that mature culture, I guess, within Miller Camera Support that's so important.
Okay. And is there anything else people should know?
We've got some exciting new products coming on board. Again, delivering that quality and reliability that Miller is so famous for. And we're just going to continue doing that. So we've got 2 projects currently on the board. And hopefully in the next 4 to 6 months you should see them on the world stage.
And can you give us a hint what they are?
No.
Oh, come on.
Look, it is about, sometimes we think about building a better mousetrap, but it's not quite like that. It's allowing the user to use the product more generally and without being constrained. And I guess the sort of headline that we're talking about is maintaining that Miller feel and improving on the user experience. So, it's no secret to say that we're taking a compass fluid head, for example, and putting more features into it. We're taking some of the, and that's been challenging to take an old trusted product like a DS fluid head that served cinematographers in Australia and around the world for many, many years, and how do you improve on that? So there are basic ingredients that we need to respect and try to improve, but the main area of our focus, certainly from the engineering perspective, is try to provide a very robust and reliable piece of kit. People come in after 10, 15 years, service their product, and they go back and keep using it, and we like that. So it's not about throwaway type mentality from a design perspective. It is about keep delivering that same value proposition to the end user. So that's what we're about. So some of the things in the pipeline are taking a compass, giving it more features, as well as some of the more entry point products that we're now developing and working on. Okay,
and by entry point, you mean lower form factor cameras?
Lower form factor cameras, yep. That's in the forefront, and again, trying to give that the Miller feel. That's very important. We can't compromise on that. You can talk about a race to the bottom, but we're not about that. We're trying to give that quality, and that's what it's all about.
All right. Well, Michael from Miller Camera Support, thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Phil. Pleasure.